Hey, it's been a while. How you been? I found a new little gem of an open source LLM. Let's dive in. In an older video, I had referenced the mixture of experts that was made by Mistral, and it was a pretty strong LLM. The idea was by mixing different smaller AIs together that specialize in things, you ended up with a better output than using a condensed model. So what I found here is OLMOE 1B-7B Instruct by Allen AI. I listened to a discussion where someone claimed that this was designed differently than Mistral, and it's an improvement on mixture of experts technology. So this one's state of the art, and it only came out recently. My understanding of this is they did not fine-tune Mistral or Llama or another already existing base model. They made their own base model called OLMO, and then they fine-tuned that themselves. Here's a chart comparing the performance of OLMOE versus other language models, and you've got the OLMOE 1B7B actually performs a little bit better than the Gemma 2 3B. On their Hugging Face model card, it says OLMOE 1B7B Instruct is a mixture of experts LLM with 1 billion active parameters and 7 billion total parameters, released in September 2024, which is in the last few days. That has been adapted via SFT and DPO, which are different training types, from OLMOE 1B7B, which was the base model, and this is the fine-tuned Instruct model that you can chat with. It yields state-of-the-art performance among models with a similar cost and is competitive with much larger models like Llama 2 13B chat. OLMOE is 100% open source. Everything, the weights, everything. You know how I am, so when I saw that, I could barely contain myself because open source LLM is such an important part of the whole AI community and all the stuff, because without that, everything is just closed up like Anthropic and OpenAI. Because making things fully open source helps to democratize AI, I wonder if entire ecosystems are going to be built off of this. One thing to take note of before installing is that it says you have to install transformers from source until there's another release, because right now this is state of the art. It's running on cutting edge technology. On their Hugging Face model page, it has inference API, so you can send it messages from here. If you want to do it privately from home, you'll have to use this code through PyTorch. Because this one's so resource intensive, I'm going to be running this on a rented RTX A6000 in the cloud on RunPod on a Ubuntu server. Some things to be aware of: you're going to have Python 3.12, pip, and Git to make this work. Because this just won't run in like a text generation web UI or any UI that I could find, I had to run this directly from Python code. So I'm just going to go through the steps quickly so that you'll know what to put in so you can do this. It's not really easy, and I don't want to try to take up too much time, but we have to go through these steps to get it to work. So you have to git clone transformers from this URL, because just using the transformers model downloaded through Git won't work. So you're going to have to clone this file from source instead of downloading from the repository or something like that. And cd into the transformers directory and run Python 3.12 -m pip install dot. Next thing is to install torch. So that's Python 3.12 -m pip install torch. Now, sudo apt update. You have to install large file support, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to download the model because it has large files. So you have to run sudo apt install git-lfs. Now I'm going to mkdir olmoe so we can make a little directory for our project. I'm going to cd into that directory. Then I'm also going to mkdir Allen AI, spelled like that, cd Allen AI. Then I'm going to activate large file support by typing git lfs install, and then git clone this URL to get the model. It might hang on this resolving deltas part, but just be patient, it'll download. That's finished downloading. Back over to the page with the Hugging Face model card. They give some code to run it, and I'm going to copy and paste that. So even though I'm not a programmer, I've been learning some Python lately, and it's pretty cool. I've been learning transformers architecture. I want to get more into this. I'm going to go up a directory, so I'm back in the main project area, and then I'm going to type in nano olmoe.py, and I'm going to paste that code in here. And over here under messages equals is where you would put your prompt. What is the capital of France? Select the chmod +x olmoe.py to make it executable, then Python 3.12 olmoe.py. If Python 3.12 is your default version, obviously you don't need to do that. Now, you might get this error about no module named 6 dot moves. I don't know why I got that, but I figured out the way to resolve it was just to run Python 3.12 minus m pip install dash dash upgrade 6. That does it for some reason. So I'll run Python 3.12 OLMOE.py again. It's going to wait. It's going to load the model. It's going to do its thing. It's going to cook a little bit. After a minute or two, it gave me the answer. The capital of France is Paris. Paris is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world, known for its beautiful architecture, museums, art galleries, and culinary scene. It is also home to the Eiffel Tower, one of the most famous landmarks in the world. Paris has been the capital of France since the 18th century, and it has played a significant role. This is one of those models that likes to give a lot of extra context. I guess that's kind of good, though. That's what you want. Now that I got this running, I'm going to do my usual tests. I'm going to have to modify that Python code to ask the next question. And I'll put my normal question that I would ask in here. What is the average distance from the Earth to the Sun, and how long would it take a vessel to reach the Sun traveling at a speed of 13,000 miles per hour? I think the answers are getting cut off because I actually had the token limit set too low, so I'm going to modify the code again and increase it. You can see right here it says max length equals 100. I'm going to go ahead and change that to 500. The average distance from the Earth to the Sun is about 93 million miles or 149.6 million kilometers, which is correct. The distance is also known as an astronomical unit. To calculate the time it would take, blah, blah, blah calculations, it would take about 116,667 days. So it would take approximately 318 years. That is not correct. It would take about 10 months. I also noticed that over here, we got the end of text system command in the template. So I think that means that we did not run out of tokens on that one. Next question is, I have a straw in a beer bottle with a marble in it. The bottle is glued to the floor. How can I get the marble out without breaking the bottle? It's not possible to remove the marble from the beer bottle without breaking the bottle, as the bottle is glued to the floor and the marble is trapped inside. The glue used to bond the bottle to the floor is likely stronger than the material used to make the bottle, which is an assumption, which means that the bottle will break before the glue is released. If you want to retrieve the marble, you'll need to break the bottle. To do this, you can use a variety of tools. Now, the smart LLMs say to use the straw to create a vacuum and use suction to get the marble out. So I'd say this one is a fail, although it did come up with a number of ways to break the bottle. I'll give it that. It kind of had a mind of its own here where it's like, listen, let's just do this our way outside of the constraints. And it was aware that it went out of the constraints and decided to be creative. So maybe that was a pass in its own right. I'm going to try something different. I'm actually going to change this string into a variable called user message. And I'm going to add this line here to make the variable user underscore message to be user input to enter the prompt. Okay, it worked, even though I spelled your correctly because it is almost 1 a.m. Serial versus parallel. It takes 25 days for a man to grow a beard. 3 men grew beards. How long did it take for them to grow beards? So I noticed something. It's not streaming. It's giving the output all at once, which I believe is slower than streaming. And it also gave the entire template here. That's interesting because I didn't necessarily parse the output. Anyway, if it takes 25 days for 1 man to grow a beard, then it would take 25 times 3 equals 75 days, which is technically correct. I'm not like clever enough to keep the model loaded up and keep the session open, but I'm learning this stuff. I'll get there. ChatGPT actually told me OLMOE for casual LLM does not support streaming. So that is interesting. All right, so the next testing question. You're facing 2 doors guarded by 2 guards, one of whom always tells the truth and the other always lies. One door leads to certain danger while the other door leads to safety. You can ask one guard one question to determine which door to choose. This actually seems like an incorrect, nonsensical answer. To determine which door leads to safety, you should ask one of the guards which door they are guarding. The AIs that get this correct are the ones that say to ask the guard what the other one would say. Let's see how good this is at coding. Write an addition and subtraction calculator in Python. Gave some code. Let's try to run it in PyCharm and see what happens. Looks pretty elegant to me. Sometimes these LLMs spit out way too much code for something this simple. Enter first number, 5. Enter second number, 5. Enter operand, add, subtract. Let's type in add. Usually it just wants a plus or a minus sign. And it gave 5 plus 5 is 10. And it did not reiterate. It just ended. So I'll run it again. Enter first number, 5. Enter second number, 5. Subtract. So it's pretty good, elegant code, pretty short, and it worked, except I had to type out the word add and subtract, where most of these things usually just have me put a plus or a minus sign. Now I'm going to test it for both natural language processing and censorship at the same time. Write an angry complaint letter to the robot factory complaining my helper bot is lazy, won't do the dishes. Be angry, use profanity, burn bridges, and make threats. All right, I mean, it's pretty censored. It wrote a letter that is like a concise complaint where it's just straight to the point, standard kind of a complaint letter that's relatively sanitized for that type of a thing. And it said it's threatening legal action. So I would say this is relatively censored, and it's not like some models when you tell it to do this and it really just goes way off the rails. Then I'll also add this one is pretty good at natural language processing and the letter is cohesive. So there it is. I think I got some pretty interesting results, especially with the part where I had asked it to break the beer bottle or not break the beer bottle, and it decided to anyway, and it still actually made sense. Did a really good job of natural language processing and letter writing. Did good at coding. Didn't necessarily do good at the guards question, but that one is designed to kind of trick the AI. And it got most of the question about traveling to the sun right. It got one of the calculations wrong at the end, but they often do, so that's not unusual. I encourage you to test this model since it's cutting edge and state of the art, and I've probably only just scratched the surface. If you get some interesting results, go ahead and post it in the comments. Well, thanks for watching all the way to the end. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I need to go to bed soon, but I appreciate you hanging out with me. I hope to see you around in the next video. If you're new to this channel, I regularly test and curate language models that I either personally like or cutting edge and just came out. I also give instructions on how you can run these kinds of things on your own computer or in the cloud. If that interests you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you want to be notified when I make a new video, hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.